Hello, this is Kelly Borsheim, and I'm stuck here at home with the coronavirus like everybody else in the world that I know pretty much. Anyway, I wanted to share with you my newest drawing. It's a work in progress. My local artisan group asked me if I would do something for a theme of dance and movement, and so now I'm going to try to do that. So I want to show you a little bit about what I'm working on here. So first, pardon my groovy-doovy camera skills. This is the idea here a little bit. You can see there's the male figure and an owl. And, oh, I don't have my paper here. I got the idea of the light thing like this from a IKEA catalog. It was a background for a bedroom. Anyhow, okay, so first we'll go to my materials here. These are charcoals. These were made in my fireplace. And I like them for the basic rough stuff and not too good, but then we get to my favorite ones, are the Nitram charcoal ones. And then have a kneadable eraser, although these are more used and they're not as pretty obviously, but okay. And then I have a little cosmetic sponge. Can you see that? Why is it not focusing? Okay, so they're just little tiny sponges. And then this is a favorite tool. It's a brush that I cut off to make short bristles so that I can push the charcoal into the paper a little bit more. It's soft enough, I mean, but you know, it's straight, and you can see that I didn't really do a great straight job of that, but it works. So, and then I have a stomp, which is basically a tightly rolled up piece of paper that pushes things in. And it's interesting because these two tools do similar things and yet different. So this will push it off, and sometimes this will make a nice smooth gradation of things, spread it out a little bit, but also at times it removes a lot. Not unlike the sponge. So this is a sponge that I have. We got this in Italy. It has the green scruffy stuff that I would not recommend using on your drawing ever, but it's a type of sponge that, oh, actually, there's the name, isn't it? So the thing is, it's a sponge that's got a very fine weave in it, and it's really good for getting in the backgrounds fairly consistently. And I use it a lot for applying things in the background, and I can kind of smooth things out. But I also kind of like, look, I get a point there, I get a point there, I get a point there. But it's more that this sponge seems to work better for quality application than a lot of other things do. But there will be a point where it starts to take off charcoal, so there's always a balance with that here. All right, so have I spoken about all these? Okay, then of course I have this little sandpaper thing here, and you know, generally tied to ground it. And then this is a soup bowl that I'm recycling, this little plastic thing, because I use everything again. And that has a bunch of powder in it that I made from the big charcoal chunks from my fireplace. Or actually any of these smaller, let's get out of my light here, any of my smaller pieces that I have here, I will use them to their end because I don't want to waste anything. But also I wanted to tell you that I'm probably not very good as an artist in a way that I don't do what I was taught to do. I was taught to take a long stick like this and sharpen it like we did as candy canes when we were little kid, where you'd suck on it and make a big long tapering point all the way to the end and then stab your brother with it. I mean, that's what I learned to do it anyway. But there are two sticks in here. However, I don't like to waste that much material, and also in the art schools in Florence where I learned this particular technique, I see a lot of students standing around the garbage can, chatting and chatting and sanding and using up a good part of this material here, only to have it drop out of their hands, and then they've lost all that work, all that time, and all that material. So I don't like to do that. I have a different technique where I basically, you can see with the points here, I sharpen as I go. I leave the bulk of the stuff there and only sharpen a tip. What that means is that I have to sharpen more often, because a tip like this, you can already see how dull that is, I hope. And so it's not going to work for me. And then if I really want to get refined, right now what I'm trying to do with this, because every piece I want to learn something different, okay? So what I decided for the idea of this, since it's movement, I want to make everything really soft and blurry because I really want to move away from the realism that I was taught to do so much. I want to make things more like Eugène Carrière, who's my favorite painter, and I want it more misty. So if I zoom in on this owl, for example, you can see that even though I've got a lot of work to do on him, this softness here, this is what I'm after. I want to have this softness. And then what I'm starting to play with on this is maybe having it look like his legs are in motion, actually. So I also like this effect here where I have the shadow underneath with a lighter color here. It makes the background look like it's this color, and then this is a shadow from his arm. So it gives more of a dimensional feel even at this stage. Do you see that? So these are the things that I'm working on here. You can see I'm kind of moving the hand in different positions. So I want to be precise, but I don't want to tell you everything. You know, I've been studying about how to write a book because I'm thinking about writing another book, and this time my first book is called My Life as a Street Painter in Florence, Italy, and it's more of a documentary of the 4 years that I worked in Florence, drawing on the streets of Via Calimala in central Florence, and also the competition of the Madonnari, which is what the Italians call the street painters because it was usually Madonnas. I'm sidetracking. Anyway, when I want to write a book, I've been listening to a lot of tapes about what mistakes people make and what to do and what not to do and this sort of thing. And one of the things that I hear a lot in is the show, don't tell. Meaning I don't need to say every single word. Oh, she took a step. Oh, she took another step. Oh, she did this, and then she did that, and then she saw the light change. So it's more of giving information in a way that allows the person who's reading the book to step into the environment. And in this way, I don't want to have everything appropriately outlined for you. You can see with even as gross as that is, that that's an owl. And it's flying, and it's white, and it's, you know, even though I don't have the relationships necessarily correct, you can tell that this is the body of a man, not a woman, okay, with how I did the muscles up here. I like that little shape kind of thing. You see this little U? It's kind of like a manta ray. Anyway, and I'm hoping that even though I can already see my tendency is to go in and develop the body and make it look good first. And maybe then I'll be able to pull back on it. So you can see that it's really difficult to break away from your training as you're going on, but I'm going to try it anyway. And one of the things I want to do also is to lose more lines, because I find for me the emotion a lot of times is where you don't see where one thing ends and another begins, okay? So we'll see, because one thing is if you keep all the edges soft, you can sharpen what you need to later. And usually you would sharpen the areas of contrast, the white on this leg against the shadow side of this leg. And I can see I need to put in more of a calf development because right now it's hard to realize that's in perspective of a leg that's actually bent a little bit. So I have things like that to work out, but I'm okay with that because this is just the beginning. And anyway, so my technique at this point is kind of just scruffing it on, usually with a green or a red one of these, which is soft or medium. It just depends on what you're wanting to do. To be fair, I'm not as fussy as a lot of people are about using the soft green ones first and then going to the harder red label. They all have colors on the paper that's on them. And then the brown, but you naturally find out, even on a piece of charcoal you've made yourself, you naturally find out there are hard spots and there are soft spots. That's one reason the professional Nitram charcoal is so great, because they've got more consistency in the product, so you know what you're getting. And it's just really great. But you can tell when you're drawing, I mean, it's a natural product, so sometimes things are going to happen. You just, okay, you hit a knot, either put the piece out or sand beyond it. And when I sand, I put everything back into this little jar here to collect it, because I will use that on the big backgrounds when I want a bunch of sweep of color. And frankly, I often even stick the paintbrush into this and then go dab it, you know, apply it where I want, knowing that unless I dab it on my skin, I usually, gosh, I can't do this with one hand, but usually I'll take the paintbrush and mark it like this. to kind of, you know, the way people, oil painters would use a paper towel to dab off their oil paints to make sure that it was the right color and it wasn't too liquidy, that sort of thing. So, I don't know. That's the first go in this. You're seeing the work while it's in progress. So we'll see how this turns out, right? Thanks for watching. You can see finished charcoal drawings at my website at borsheimarts.com. Also, I'm on Patreon, and also I am on Etsy now, so I'm focusing on selling prints of the artworks for people that can't necessarily afford an original, or for some of the originals that sold immediately, so I don't have them anymore. So, I keep saying so. I have to stop that. So, we'll see you in a little bit and see if this works for you. I would love to have your comment, your like, your subscription, and share it with your friends if you like. I appreciate it. And stay home and let's get rid of this virus so we can all get moving on again. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, ciao for now. This is Kelly Borsheim.